Despite her glamorous public image, Joan Collins faced a terrifying ordeal that changed her life forever. In a moment of desperation, she was forced into a marriage with her rapist, someone who had tried to kill her in a violent attempt to silence her. This dark chapter unfolded when she was at a vulnerable point, and her attacker's actions were motivated by jealousy and rage. Her courage in surviving this traumatic event, and refusing to let fear control her, is remarkable. She fought to rebuild her life amid the pain and shame, refusing to be defined by the violence inflicted upon her. Her story reveals a woman who faced unimaginable horror, but chose resilience over surrender. It took years for Joan to speak openly about this period, but her honesty has inspired many, showing that even in the face of serious danger, strength and determination can lead to recovery. Her experience, hidden for so long, now forms a crucial part of her journey, illustrating that sometimes the most remarkable stories are those born from the darkest experiences. Joan Collins was born on May 23, 1933, in Paddington, London, to Elsa Collins, a former dance teacher, and Joseph Collins, a theatrical agent. Growing up in a creative environment, Joan was exposed to the world of entertainment early on, which played a crucial role in shaping her future in acting. Her father worked with prominent British talents, giving Joan unique access to the industry. Her younger sister, Jackie Collins, later became a renowned novelist, but Joan was the first to make a name for herself in the public eye. Joan attended the prestigious Royal Academy of Dramatic Art, where her striking beauty and charismatic presence quickly made her stand out. At the age of 13, she made her stage debut, and by the early 1950s, Joan had already begun appearing in British films. Her sultry looks and commanding screen presence soon caught the eye of Hollywood, and in 1955, she was signed by 20th Century Fox. Joan's seductive roles, which capitalized on her glamorous appeal, made her one of the most talked-about actresses in American cinema. She quickly gained recognition, acting alongside legendary stars, and becoming a prominent figure in Hollywood gossip columns. After Joan Collins was just 17 years old, her life changed dramatically when she met Maxwell Reid, an Irish actor who was 32 years old. Reid was once her childhood crush, and now he was suddenly in her life as a real person. At first, Joan felt special and excited by his attention. She was young and eager to be liked by someone famous. However, what started as a normal flirtation quickly turned dark. On their very first date, Reid drugged her drink and assaulted her, an experience that left her deeply shaken. Because she was young and unaware of her rights, she did not understand what had happened or speak about it at the time. Society then had strict ideas about women and their behavior, which made Joan think she was at fault or that she needed to stay with him. She believed her worth was tied to her purity, so she kept quiet about her trauma. Reid's emotional manipulation made it even harder for her to leave. Over time, Joan found herself in a confusing and painful relationship with a man who had hurt her so badly. Her decision to continue seeing Reid and later marry him came from not fully understanding what was right and wrong, from feeling pressured, and from a lack of proper education about consent and women's independence. Such circumstances, common in that time, left her trapped in a cycle of confusion and pain, shaped by societal norms that did not protect her rights or help her heal. After marrying Maxwell Reid in 1952, Joan Collins found herself trapped in a marriage filled with fear, emotional abuse, and manipulation. Reid's jealousy over her growing success in Hollywood caused him to become controlling and jealous, making her feel like she was walking on thin ice every day. As Joan's career flourished, his resentment grew stronger, leading him to try and ruin her chances for success. He would often sabotage her opportunities and try to isolate her from friends and colleagues, making her feel alone and helpless. The abuse she endured was not only emotional but also took on disturbing forms. Reid suggested she sell herself for money and even proposed horrifying acts to her. One of the most shocking moments came when he told her she should spend the night with an older wealthy man for £10,000 while he watched, as if he was trying to sell his wife for profit. Joan was deeply shocked and devastated by this proposal, and she fled the nightclub in tears, overwhelmed by the cruelty. Despite all she had been through, Joan kept her suffering hidden inside because she was afraid of being judged or not knowing how to escape the pain. Her self-esteem was crushed, and she was made to feel silent and powerless, partly because during that time women were often shamed if they spoke out. Throughout her marriage, Joan carried the heavy burden of her trauma silently, unable to share her suffering openly for fear of shame and rejection. Although Joan Collins longed to escape the emotional and psychological torment she was experiencing, She faced immense pressure from her family and society to stay in her marriage. Her parents, especially her father, initially encouraged her union with Reed, likely because they were captivated by Reed's fame and believed that marriage would bring stability to their daughter's life. During the 1950s, divorce carried a heavy stigma, especially for women who were in the public eye. Society often regarded a woman who left her marriage as a failure, and such decisions were frowned upon rather than seen as necessary for survival. Joan endured 3 difficult and painful years in her marriage, feeling more trapped with each passing day. Eventually, she made the brave decision to leave Reed, despite the many obstacles. At that time, she had limited financial independence and relied on support from Fox Studios to help her finalize the divorce. This difficult period marked the end of her first marriage, but also influenced her future relationships. Her experience made her seek security, love, and control through her subsequent romances. It shaped her views on men, love, and trust, which remained central themes in her life. Although she married several times, her true motivation was not about scandal or promiscuity. Instead, her relationships were driven by her desperate search for emotional safety and personal redemption in a world that had often failed to protect her. After her tumultuous first marriage and subsequent divorce, Joan Collins became even more determined to succeed in her acting career. She approached her work with fearlessness, embracing roles that pushed boundaries and challenged societal norms. During the 1950s and 1960s, cinema was rapidly changing, and Joan found herself caught between traditional ideas of femininity and the new, more provocative storytelling that was emerging. She starred in films like I Believe in You and Seaboy, which drew a great deal of attention, not just because of their bold content, but also because of the powerful characters she brought to life. Her role in Seaboy was especially controversial, as it was considered very daring for the time. This film was banned in several countries, making Joan a symbol of rebellion and sensuality. Her father, who was a theatrical agent, shockingly advised her to use nudity to get more attention and better roles, even suggesting she disrobe on camera. Joan initially resisted this idea, wanting to be known for her acting talent rather than her looks. Yet she also understood that opportunities for women in Hollywood were limited, so she carefully chose her roles, sometimes accepting parts that emphasized her sex appeal while working hard behind the scenes to prove her talent. These early years reflected her willingness to take risks and her refusal to be confined by traditional expectations or the male-dominated film industry, shaping her image as a daring and resilient actress. Although many know Joan Collins for her acting talent, she is equally famous for her striking appearance and her dedication to maintaining her beauty over the years. Throughout her career, she protected her image with careful discipline and clear intentions. In interviews, she often shared her honest thoughts about her strict approach to beauty and health, giving people a glimpse into the routines that helped her stay in the spotlight for so many decades. Joan followed very strict diets, usually avoiding sweets, carbohydrates, and large portions of food. She was known to cut her meals short or try temporary, emergency diets when she needed to lose weight quickly for a role or a public event. However, her dedication to health was not only about staying slim. She paid special attention to her skin care, understanding the damage the sun could do even in her youth. She made it a point to avoid exposing herself to sunlight, and always removed her makeup before going to bed, making this a lifelong rule. She also limited alcohol intake and avoided smoking, distancing herself from some common vices found in Hollywood circles. Her consistent effort to look her best was driven not just by vanity, but by her professional need to appear polished and elegant. Her commitment to her appearance helped her age gracefully, and even well into her 80s and 90s, Joan remained a symbol of timeless beauty and style. Her lifetime of intentional self-care, resilience, and personal grooming proved that her beauty was a result of deliberate effort and a strong sense of personal style. Despite being known for her glamorous roles and often portrayed as a striking and commanding screen presence, Joan Collins carefully managed her own image and remained humble about herself. She often described herself as shy and occasionally insecure, especially during her younger years. This shy nature made her uncomfortable around aggressive or domineering people, qualities that stood in stark contrast to the fiery, bold characters she played on the screen. Over time, Joan found her confidence not through fame or wealth, but through her experiences in American social circles. These social settings, where conversations were informal and straightforward, helped her open up and become more self-assured. Interestingly, although her on-screen persona was loud and dramatic, off-screen Joan preferred simplicity. She would wear little makeup daily, emphasizing a quiet elegance and understated style. Her focus on subtlety and restraint highlighted her personal values and contributed to her unique image. She balanced being a glamorous star with her love for simple pleasures, such as relaxing with a book or playing Scrabble. As she grew older, the fashion and entertainment industry became more challenging for aging women. Joan responded to this by cultivating a timeless, sophisticated look that avoided fleeting trends, favoring classic styles that remained elegant regardless of changing fashion. Her ability to control her public image while staying true to herself helped her remain influential and admired across decades. This balance of glamour and simplicity, confidence, and humility kept her relevant even as cultural norms shifted around her. Although Joan Collins is widely recognized for her glamorous image and her iconic roles on screen, she also cultivated a rich intellectual life that many people might overlook. She is an avid reader who enjoys fiction, history, and biographies, always seeking to expand her knowledge and understanding of the world. Alongside her love of reading, she plays games like Scrabble and poker, which require sharp thinking and strategic skills, qualities that show her mental agility and wit beyond her Hollywood persona. Her literary talents are perhaps most evident in her writing career, where she has authored 19 books, including best-selling novels, memoirs, lifestyle guides, and autobiographies. These books provide honest and sometimes startling insights into her life, revealing her experiences in the entertainment industry and her personal growth. Her early autobiographical works gained attention for their frankness, as she openly discussed difficult topics such as marital abuse, betrayal, and Hollywood's double standards toward women. Through her writing, she also voiced strong opinions on aging, dieting, beauty standards, and the sexism she faced, making her not just a star, but also an outspoken commentator on her industry. Even in her 90s, Joan stays active both intellectually and physically, promoting a lifestyle of moderation, discipline, and routine. She occasionally follows quick diets like eating only eggs and broccoli to stay in shape, but she also believes in enjoying life regardless of age. Her combination of discipline and pleasure, intelligence and style reflects the many sides of Joan Collins that go far beyond her fame on the red carpet. As Joan Collins navigated her life in the spotlight, she cultivated a deep understanding of emotional boundaries and social strategy. She learned to read people quickly and decided who could uplift her and who might bring chaos into her world. Her idea was to divide everyone into two groups, heaters and drains. Those who were heaters gave her energy, inspired her, and made her feel good about herself. The drains, on the other hand, drained her energy, created problems, or took more than they offered. Over time, Joan developed this system as a way to protect her mental health, especially after experiencing manipulation, betrayal, and heartbreak in both her personal life and her career. She realized that by distancing herself from negativity, she could stay stronger and more focused on her goals. This meant she cut ties with fake friends who were not genuine, lovers who only took from her, and anyone who made her feel doubt or inadequacy. Many people thought she was cold or ruthless, but she saw her actions as necessary to survive and thrive in Hollywood, where emotional vulnerability could easily be exploited. Her selective social circle became her safe space, where she trusted only those who truly cared. This approach did more than just protect her. It gave her the power to recover from setbacks, reinvest in herself, and keep reinventing her image and career. Joan's ability to set clear emotional boundaries shaped her strength and resilience, helping her face the challenges of fame with confidence. Later in her career, Joan Collins was involved in a secret and passionate romance with Harry Belafonte during the mid-1950s when they were filming the movie Island in the Sun. This affair was bold and emotionally intense, especially because it took place at a time when interracial relationships were still considered taboo in both the United States and the United Kingdom. The chemistry between Joan and Harry was obvious, as they were both charismatic stars drawn to each other, not just by attraction, but also by a shared desire to challenge societal norms and push boundaries in their art and personal lives. Their relationship was kept hidden because Belafonte was married at the time, and the racial politics of the era made it dangerous to show any public connection. They would find moments away from prying eyes, often meeting in secret, with one notable encounter at the Coconut Grove Club. That place was filled with romantic tension, and the understanding that they could never openly acknowledge their bond because of the societal pressure and potential backlash. For Joan, this relationship was more than just a fleeting romance. It was an emotional awakening that showed her how deeply racial barriers could affect personal lives, especially in the world of entertainment. It revealed to her how love could be crushed by societal expectations and prejudice, even when feelings ran deep. Though their affair did not last long, it left a lasting impression on her, teaching her about the power of love and the harsh realities of living in a prejudiced world. After her difficult but eye-opening experience with Harry Belafonte, Joan Collins began a new relationship with George England, a young producer at MGM who was gaining a reputation in Hollywood. His confidence and charm quickly drew her in, and at first, the relationship seemed to offer a fresh start, a chance to find someone who understood the pressures of the film industry and respected her career. Joan, however, was still learning to listen to her instincts and to trust her feelings more deeply. As their romance grew deeper, she began to notice signs that something was not quite right. There were small inconsistencies, moments that didn't sit well with her, and red flags she chose to ignore. The critical moment came unexpectedly when Joan decided to visit George unannounced. She was met with a shocking sight that she never expected. George was in bed with his pregnant wife, who was angry and confrontational because she knew about Joan. The scene was humiliating and heartbreaking, crushing Joan's hopes of a genuine connection. She had believed that George was separated and emotionally available, only to discover she was once again the other woman in a complicated situation. This painful experience became a turning point for Joan, teaching her a vital lesson about trust and honesty. She left that relationship with a new sense of determination, vowing never to become involved with someone who was not fully single and honest. The betrayal served as a wake-up call, helping her to take control of her romantic choices and to protect herself from future heartbreak and deception. Through this ordeal, Joan gained strength and clarity, marking an important step in her personal growth and her ongoing journey to find true and lasting love. Despite her fame and allure, Joan Collins' relationship with Rafael Trujillo Jr. stands out as one of the more extravagant and controversial episodes in her romantic history. It all began when Zia Zagubor, a well-known socialite, arranged for Joan and Trujillo Jr. to meet. The setting was typical of 1950s Hollywood's glamorous yet complicated world, where power and beauty often intertwined in ways that blurred the lines between genuine affection and transactional relationships. Trujillo Jr., the son of the infamous Dominican dictator Rafael Trujillo, was known for his inheritances, wealth, and notoriety in political circles. He became instantly captivated by Joan's stunning looks and her rising star. In a gesture that reflected the culture of the time, he offered her a large diamond necklace, which she accepted. This gift was not simply a token of affection, but also a symbol of the exchange happening behind the scenes, where actresses were often seen as status symbols and tokens of wealth. Trujillo Jr. invited Joan aboard his yacht, an experience that was as much about social status as it was about personal connection. The yacht was a symbol of luxury, and during that time, such outings often carried unspoken expectations for intimacy and loyalty, rarely just about companionship. For Joan, this experience was more than a fleeting romance. It was an eye-opener into how women could be used in Hollywood as decorative objects and trophies to elevate status, rather than being valued solely for their talent or character. She enjoyed the glittering spectacle and understood that fame and beauty could be manipulated for personal gain. But the episode also left her with a deeper sense of self-awareness. It served as a lesson for her to maintain her independence, to recognize the underlying motives behind seemingly glamorous gestures, and to preserve her personal integrity amid the allure of wealth and power. This incident, both extravagant and controversial, became a crucial chapter in Joan Collins' ongoing journey of understanding her own worth and navigating the complicated intersections of fame, beauty, and influence. Despite accepting the lavish diamond necklace and joining Rafael Trujillo Jr. on his luxurious yacht, Joan Collins' encounter with him did not meet his expectations. Trujillo, who was used to transactional relationships where beauty was traded for influence or pleasure, found Joan's behavior unremarkable. He supposedly confided later that she was boring and not worth the expense, indicating he had hoped for a more provocative or emotionally engaging interaction. Behind this apparent dullness, however, Joan employed a careful strategy of self-preservation. As Zia Zagubor recounted, the actress may have intentionally minimized her charm and withheld emotional responses to avoid deeper involvement. Her goal was to retain the valuable diamond necklace, which represented the power balance of their meeting, In an industry where many women were often pressured to be silent and compliant, Joan showed a remarkable form of subtle resistance. Rather than openly challenge Trujillo or risk retaliation, she chose to act agreeable without succumbing to his expectations. This clever approach allowed her to safeguard her dignity and reputation while still gaining a benefit from the encounter. It highlighted her quiet strength and tactical intelligence in a world where beauty was a form of currency, and men often held the control. She departed unharmed, still wearing her diamonds, and with her integrity intact. Joan Collins's actions demonstrated her ability to navigate a dangerous situation with grace and prudence, maintaining her independence in a difficult environment. Although Joan Collins achieved fame for her stunning performances and long-lasting career, one of the most discussed what-ifs involves her potential role as Cleopatra in the 1963 film. At that time, Joan was among the top contenders for the part, especially after impressing studio executives with her screen tests. Her talent and presence made her a serious candidate to play the legendary queen, and many believed she could have made that role her own. However, the casting process was complicated by rumors of a condition attached to the opportunity. It is said that a powerful Hollywood executive told Joan that she could secure the role if she provided sexual favors. Joan has publicly stated that she refused this proposition outright, choosing her integrity over the chance at stardom. This decision reportedly cost her the part, which went instead to Elizabeth Taylor, who was cast amid rave reviews and a record-breaking salary, drawing enormous media attention. Joan later discussed the story openly, highlighting how she viewed her refusal as a matter of self-respect and maintaining control over her body and career. Critics have debated her story, suggesting that perhaps she told it later to explain why she didn't get the part or to address her own history of accepting certain roles for financial security. Some argue that her account might be shaped by hindsight, considering her later work that involved sexually explicit roles for money. Despite differing opinions, the incident sheds light on the brutal power imbalance often present in Hollywood and demonstrates Joan's desire to remain true to herself, despite the industry's exploitative tendencies. This story remains a powerful example of a woman navigating a complex system while trying to preserve her dignity and independence. After meeting Warren Beatty, Joan Collins' romance with him became one of the most intense and emotionally chaotic parts of her life. When they first met, she was 26 years old and already an established star in the film industry, while Warren Beatty was just 22, but seen as a rising star and a man full of charm and talent. Their attraction was immediate, driven by shared ambition, strong physical chemistry, and a rebellious spirit that bonded them quickly. Despite the passion, their relationship was full of ups and downs, like a roller coaster ride. There were moments of deep love and affection, but also times filled with jealousy, financial difficulties, and unspoken resentment. Warren Beatty was notorious for being a womanizer, and Joan often faced accusations of his infidelity, which created emotional strain. The most painful part of their story was when she found out she was pregnant. At that time, being an unwed mother could have damaged her career and social reputation. Feeling trapped by society's expectations and the unstable nature of her relationship, Joan made the heartbreaking choice to have a secret abortion. She rarely discussed this publicly, but opened up about it in her memoir, revealing how deeply it affected her emotionally. Over time, their relationship ended because of mistrust, ambition, and unspoken trauma hanging between them. From this painful experience, Joan became wiser and more guarded, building emotional walls to protect herself from loving someone who could not fully commit or bring her the stability she longed for. Following her marriage to Anthony Newley in 1963, Joan Collins thought she had found a partner who understood her. She married a man who was not only a singer, actor, and songwriter, but also someone who shared her love for the arts and her desire for fame. Their relationship seemed perfect at first, filled with hopes of emotional security and creative collaboration. They built a happy life together, welcoming their children Tara and Alexander into the world. Joan believed that Newley appreciated her beyond her beauty and understood the stresses that came with fame because he experienced them firsthand. However, as time passed, their marriage faced difficulties. Anthony's artistic temperament often made him unpredictable, and his career fluctuations created instability in their relationship. The situation worsened when their son Alexander Newley made upsetting claims about his father, suggesting inappropriate sexual fixations on young girls, which shocked many people. Joan strongly denied any knowledge or evidence of such behavior and stood up for Newley's reputation. She expressed her belief that her ex-husband's legacy was being unfairly attacked, and insisted that the allegations had been misunderstood or unfounded. Her daughter Tara also defended her father, trying to shield him from accusations that might tarnish his name. For Joan, the controversy was deeply painful because she had invested so many years of her life in her marriage to Newley, and still felt connected to his memory even after their divorce. She found herself caught between her maternal loyalty, public judgment, and the need to clear her husband's name. In the end, she faced an emotional struggle to reconcile her love for her family with the harsh reality of the media's scrutiny. After marrying Ronald Cass in 1972, Joan Collins initially believed her new marriage would bring stability to her life, which had been somewhat chaotic with previous relationships. However, her hopes were soon dashed when Cass lost his job just after they tied the knot. Without a steady income from her husband, Joan found herself in a difficult situation she did not expect, especially at her age. She suddenly became the main breadwinner for the family, which was a surprising and humbling experience for her, considering her fame from high-profile marriages and a successful acting career. Her career, once full of possibilities, was starting to fade, and the acting offers she received were few, often poor in quality, and sometimes exploitative. By 1976, she was so desperate that she had to apply for unemployment benefits, a humiliating turn for someone who was once celebrated as a Hollywood sex symbol and a star in her own right. In her effort to keep working, she took a role in the low-budget science fiction horror film Empire of the Ants, a movie that critics widely panned for its campy story and flimsy effects. This film, while a low point professionally, symbolized her resilience and her willingness to do whatever it took to stay afloat. Even during this tough time, Joan refused to give up on her acting career, and her decision to persevere through these hardships would later become part of her remarkable comeback story. Despite facing mounting debt and a decline in her fame, Joan Collins decided to take a bold step to change her career. She looked to her sister Jackie Collins's popular and steamy novel, The Stud, and suggested turning it into a movie. More surprisingly, Joan agreed to play the main role herself. This choice was very personal and difficult because it meant she had to appear nude on screen for the first time. Such a decision went against her long-standing promise to never do explicit scenes. Still, Joan was practical. She understood that this might be her last chance to stay relevant, and was determined to show everyone she could still be a strong star. The film was made with a small budget, but was marketed very well, especially because of its daring content, and Joan's reputation for being a fearless, outspoken star. The Stud became a surprise hit in the United Kingdom, attracting audiences eager to see Joan embrace a more daring and provocative image. Although critics gave mixed reviews, the film's success brought renewed attention to Joan's career. She then made another film, The Bitch, also based on a Jackie Collins story. These roles pushed her to break her previous rules about modesty and decency, but they proved she could reinvent herself. In a film industry that often cast aside women over 40, Joan's willingness to take risks helped her regain her place in the spotlight. Her bold move showed she was willing to challenge expectations and take control of her own story, transforming herself from a fading star to a resilient and independent actress who refused to be written off. After her recent success in films, Joan Collins chose to share her true story with the world. She published her memoir called Past Imperfect, which was not just a typical Hollywood autobiography. Instead, it was very honest and sometimes shocking. She wrote openly about her difficult life, sharing stories of abusive relationships and failed marriages that shaped her. She also talked about mistakes she made in her career and personal regrets, giving readers a glimpse of her inner struggles. Joan did not hold back on revealing secrets and naming people she felt betrayed her. Her stories were so personal and detailed that they caused a big stir in the media and among her friends. One British newspaper published parts of her book in a serial, turning her private life into a public scandal. The backlash was quick, with many friends and colleagues feeling betrayed and cutting ties with her. Joan was so concerned about the damage to her reputation that she tried to buy all the copies of the paper she could find. Despite the controversy, her honesty made her more relatable, and she gained new attention from the public. Around this time, she received a role in a TV show that would help revive her career. The show was called Dynasty, a popular primetime soap opera. When Dynasty was about to end due to low ratings, the producers decided to take a chance by casting Joan as the new villain, Alexis Carrington. This role was not only a comeback for her, but also a part that would become a defining moment in her career, and leave a lasting mark on television history. Joan's ability to face scandal and reinvent herself kept her in the spotlight and helped cement her legacy in Hollywood and beyond. Before Joan Collins joined the cast of Dynasty, the show was successful but lacked the dramatic edge that would make it unforgettable. When she was cast as Alexis Carrington in the second season, everything changed. Her performance as the cunning, glamorous, and powerful woman transformed the series entirely. Alexis was everything Joan knew how to portray: manipulative, seductive, sharp, and in control. Her character quickly became the center of attention, sparking a surge in the show's ratings and captivating audiences with her bold fashion choices and intense rivalries. Viewers were drawn to her epic showdowns with Linda Evans' character, Crystal, and to her clever scheming that kept everyone guessing. Joan's portrayal of Alexis was so compelling that she won a Golden Globe Award and gained worldwide fame. She became the highest-paid woman on television, and her status soared beyond just the show. For many, she was now the main reason to watch Dynasty. However, despite her success, tensions grew as the show's popularity declined. The producers decided to cut her episodes to save costs, which Joan saw as disrespectful because her character was so vital to the show's success. This decision exposed ongoing issues of undervaluing women's contributions in television. Yet Joan responded with resilience, maintaining her dignity and showing she would not be easily dismissed. Her stance reinforced her image as a woman of strength and independence, refusing to be underestimated even when the industry tried to diminish her role. From her breakout role as Alexis to her continued resilience, Joan Collins' impact on television and pop culture remains significant. Later in her life, Joan Collins made headlines with her bold decision to pose for Playboy in 1983, just before her 50th birthday. This choice surprised many because most actresses her age avoided revealing themselves publicly. At a time when Hollywood often ignored women over 40, Joan showed she was confident and proud of her beauty. Her photos received praise from critics and fans alike, making a statement that age should not define a woman's worth or desirability. In fact, her daring move was seen as both a feminist act and a clever way to stay relevant in the entertainment world. It showed that a woman could be sexy and strong at any age, challenging stereotypes about aging and femininity. Just 2 years after this photo shoot, Joan's personal life faced a difficult period when she married Swedish pop singer and businessman Peter Holm in 1985. The marriage began with excitement, promises of happiness, and a whirlwind romance, but it soon turned sour. Holm quickly proved to be controlling and manipulative, causing Joan to become caught in a toxic relationship filled with legal fights, emotional struggles, and media attention. Their separation led to restraining orders and a tense court battle, revealing Holm's infidelities, including a secret affair. During one court session, Joan collapsed from the stress, an incident that was widely covered by tabloids and broadcast on television. Despite this ordeal, Joan refused to be defeated or lose her strength. She used her experience to demonstrate her resilience, emerging from the chaos more determined and self-assured. Her ability to survive these hardships only added to her image as a woman who could face challenges head-on and come out stronger. After Joan Collins finalized her divorce from Peter Holm, she felt a wave of exhaustion wash over her, yet she also experienced a sense of relief. The marriage had been difficult, and she was glad to be free from yet another manipulative partner. Holm, whom Joan dismissively called a Swede, left the marriage with only $80,000, which was much less than the millions he had reportedly asked for. The legal battle surrounding the divorce had tested her patience and reminded her of the risks of trusting too easily. The experience left a deep impression on her, and after her third failed marriage, Joan made a firm decision to stay single. She chose to focus instead on herself, her family, and her work, entering what she later described as a healing period. During this time, she learned to enjoy her own company and found comfort in solitude. She became more protective of her boundaries and very selective about the people she allowed close to her. Her break from romance was not driven by bitterness, but by an awareness that she needed peace more than fleeting companionship. Ironically, the moment she stopped actively searching for love was when it unexpectedly found her again. This time, it arrived in the form of a younger man who had an old soul and a sincere, genuine heart. Joan's journey through heartbreak taught her the importance of self-respect and emotional clarity, guiding her toward a more fulfilling life free of false promises and superficial connections. After many years in the entertainment industry, Joan Collins found a new chapter in her life when she married Percy Gibson in 22. Percy, a modest and gentle theater company manager, was 31 years younger than Joan, which initially surprised many people. Their relationship started as a surprising May-December romance, and at first it seemed unusual to some fans and the media. However, as time went on, their bond grew stronger and deeper. Joan has often spoken about how their relationship became the most stable and loving one of her life. Unlike previous relationships, Percy did not compete with her or try to control her. Instead, he appreciated her fierce independence and also understood her vulnerabilities. Their age difference, once a topic of gossip, soon became unimportant because of how well they suited each other. Percy's calm presence and steady nature gave Joan the emotional security she had longed for but had rarely found before. He supported her career and accepted her children and grandchildren warmly. When they appeared in public together, Percy's quiet confidence always assured Joan. She often says that Percy's loyalty and kindness helped her regain her faith in love and marriage. Their union has been free from scandal, built instead on mutual respect, understanding, and true affection. Percy's partnership allowed Joan to enjoy a peaceful, happy life in her later years, after many years of struggle, heartbreak, and constant reinvention. Building on her reflections and life advice, Joan Collins shared valuable insights that resonated with many women. She believed that patience is key when it comes to love, explaining that rushing into relationships can lead to disappointment. She urged women to wait for the right partner, emphasizing that true love often comes when least expected, after they have learned to love themselves. Joan knew from her own life that aging is not a limitation, but an opportunity to grow and reinvent oneself. She encouraged women to set boundaries, stay independent, and be resilient in the face of life's challenges. Having survived difficult times, including abusive marriages, betrayals, and setbacks in her career, she understood the importance of standing strong and not letting others define their worth. Her words served as a reminder that women should embrace their femininity without apology and never feel the need to apologize for who they are. She believed that personal growth continues throughout life, regardless of age or past hardships. Her memoir was more than just a look back at her life. It was a call to live with dignity, purpose, and courage. Joan made it clear that beauty, intelligence, and strength can exist together, and that every woman has the power to reinvent herself and live life on her own terms, no matter what challenges she faces. Her story was an inspiring testament to resilience and self-love, encouraging women to live unapologetically and embrace all stages of life with confidence. Despite her glamorous image, Joan Collins endured a horrific experience that no one should have to face. She was assaulted by someone she trusted, and this person became her attacker, trying to silence her through violence and threatening her life. Forced into a marriage she never wanted, she was pushed into a situation filled with fear, pain, and shame. Yet, Joan showed incredible strength by refusing to let this dark chapter define her. Instead, she fought to rebuild her life, seeking help and support along the way. Her story is a powerful reminder that even when faced with unimaginable trauma, resilience and determination can help a person survive and eventually heal. Her honesty about what happened has inspired many others to speak up and find their own strength. Joan's journey from darkness to light teaches us that courage can emerge from the worst situations, and that refusing to give up is a true act of bravery. Her bravery and honesty ensure that her story will remain a source of hope and inspiration for all who face their own struggles.